Today we are working on this guitar here. This is the second one. I had two come into the shop within the last 6 months, and this is the second one of the two that came in. I built this one, and this first one was the Flying V guitar, the red Flying V guitar. So I built both of these about the same time, 06, 07-ish, and the guy brought this one back because he's having trouble with the neck. And what happened was, it had a back bow in it, or an up bow. So the neck was like this. The problem was it was a single one-way truss rod instead of a dual action truss rod. So I figured we could just take the fretboard off, put a dual action truss rod in it, fix the problem. But what happened is, in the process of taking the fretboard off, I ended up jacking up the neck pretty good. Now, this guitar was originally a through neck guitar, and now it's a bolt-on neck guitar. So, after I jacked up the neck, I talked to him, and he said about, well, can we turn it into a bolt-on neck? I really like the through neck, and I said, yeah, I can do that. So, I cut the through neck out, added a chunk into the center of this thing, reshaped it, cut a neck pocket in it, and basically turned it from a through neck to a bolt-on neck. So this is going to be the new neck. Now this is one of the necks I was building in the neck construction video, the neck construction method video. So this is one of the necks. It's going to be 24 frets. It's a three-piece neck, 24 frets. This is a left-handed guitar, so I'm putting a right-handed peg head on, so it'll be a reverse peg head on a left-handed guitar. It's getting a rosewood fretboard. I got some blue epoxy with blue stain in it for the dots. We're going to sand that off and get some nice light blue dots on that fretboard. 24 frets. So that'll be the neck. We're going to put a dual action truss rod in this neck too. The pickups that I originally put in this, he didn't care for them, so I'm going to wind them a set of pickups. So we'll make a video about that when we get to that point. On this body here, it's got a pneumatic bridge and through strings, and probably what I'm going to do is eliminate that and put a hardtail bridge on it. I'm not sure about that yet, but that's probably the direction we're going. He kind of indicated that he wanted to try a hardtail instead of the pneumatic, so we're going to try to do that. It's going to have a toggle, one volume, one tone, and output jack. And it's going to get repainted naturally. As you can see, it's pretty rough. So this is the center section of this guitar here, and you can see the fretboard's pretty jacked up. And that's basically because I really didn't know how to remove a fretboard back then when I originally took this thing out. And I started coming from the back, taking the fretboard off, and ended up taking a chunk of the neck out itself, and just ruined the whole neck itself. The neck had to be cut out. This is a pretty rough piece here. We got the truss rod out anyways, but to what good that did, because now you have to replace the neck. So we end up cutting this out. It has alder wings on it. It's an alder body with a maple through neck. So the outside wings are alder. And whenever I put the center section in, I put a chunk of walnut in the center. So I got a chunk of walnut in the center, and then two alder wings, I guess you can call it, even though it's not a through neck now. On this neck here, we got some binding around the peg head. We put some white binding around the peg head. Then we're going to come back through and put some binding around this fretboard and glue that on. But I think the first thing we're going to do before we do the binding on the fretboard is I'm going to come back through and drill some tuner holes. Get some tuner holes drilled in this thing, and then we can come back through and get some binding put on this, get it glued on the neck. And then on the body, I think the body, besides changing the brightness up, the body's pretty much ready to go. Just sand it down and paint it, and then, like I said, eliminate these holes and set up for that hardtail. I think that's about it, so let's go ahead and drill some tuner holes. This is my jig that I use to drill my holes with. So, just to make sure everything lines up good, I go ahead and draw my 2 outside strings where they're going to line up on the nut, which is about 1/8 of an inch in from the edge of the fretboard here. So I draw a line at 1/8 and a line at 1/8. And I go through and I measure a straight line of how the string would run the whole length of the fretboard to the nut and continue straight. And I mark where my first tuner should be. And I do the same thing on the other side, a straight line to the nut, and run a straight line across and mark right there, if we can see that. You see the 2 X's. So this will be the first tuner, and that would be where the 6th tuner's at. Then I go back through and I double check to make sure I'm about a 1/2 inch in from the edge of the fretboard here. So I want to have my center line to be about a 1/2 inch. So the center of the tuner should be a 1/2 inch. Now I got this thing already made up, and these holes are a 1/2 inch in from the side here, and they're centered at 1 inch. So there's 1 inch in between each tuner, the whole length of it. So now, just basically, I just want to double check, make sure everything's all right. And you set them on, and if you can see that, you can see the X there on the first tuner. Come up to the 6th tuner, you see the X there, making sure it's flush on the side. And now we'll double stick that on there, take it over to the drill press, and drill our 6 tuner holes. Okay, so we're back from the drill press, and see, I got my 6 tuner holes cut in, basically by lining this jig up with my first and my 6th tuner. And then what I also did, what I didn't say, was take a piece of masking tape, and on the back side of it, where the tuners are going to go, put a piece of masking tape across there. That just helps whenever you drill through. Sometimes it'll chip out chunks of wood. If you put that masking tape on, it seems to help that. This is the fretboard that I'm going to use on this neck. Okay, so the problem that we have is it's a fret short. It's only 23 frets. So, and this fret here is jacked up. It's a little bit wider than it should be compared to the rest of these. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut this off right here, which will make it a 22 fret. And as you can see, it's short. So once I cut that 22nd fret off, the back of that fretboard is going to line up on that line I got marked there, like so. And I'm going to come back through and take another piece of rosewood that's going to be 23.3 millimeters long, and go ahead and glue that on at that line. Then where I cut this fret off will come and glue on about like that. Then I'll basically just come back through, re-slot the 22nd fret, and then slot the 23rd and 24th fret. And then whenever you put the fret in, it's going to hide that glue joint on the top, and then the binding on the side will hide the glue joint on the side, so you won't see it at all. And we'll go, and what we'll do is end up making this from 22 frets essentially to a 24 fret fretboard. So let me go cut this end off and get my other piece of 23 or 20.3 millimeters cut here, and we'll come back and put these on and show you what I'm talking about. I cut my rosewood fretboard off at that fret. So now when I set it on there, it comes right to the line, right there. And up here, where the nut is, up there, it's basically where I want it to be at. So now we need to come up with a piece that's basically 20, hold on a second, it's either 20 and 3 millimeters or 23 and 3 millimeters. Let me measure it real quick here. Yeah, 23.3 millimeters. So now I got to come up with a piece of rosewood that's 23.3 3 millimeters to glue on there and do what I said. But the problem I'm having is I don't got no extra rosewood right now. So that brings me to this next question is, do I want to go ahead and order a piece of rosewood just for that small piece, or I could go ahead and put a maple fretboard on here and won't have to order anything. I got plenty of maple laying around to make a maple fretboard. So that's my dilemma. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but I ain't got no rosewood right now, so I can't finish that. So that's going to be put on hold. And I guess we can start getting on this body. Okay guys, that's going to do it for me today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in another video.